It was a cold and rainy day in Berlin in the fall of 1923. Franz Kafka, a famous writer, was walking through the park when he saw a little girl sitting on a bench, crying. He went over to her and asked her what was wrong. The little girl told him that she had lost her doll. She had been playing with it in the park when it had gotten away from her. She had searched everywhere for it, but she couldn't find it. Kafka felt sorry for the little girl. He knew how much she loved her doll. He told her not to worry, that he would help her find it. Kafka and the little girl searched the park for hours, but they couldn't find the doll. Finally, Kafka gave up and told the little girl that they would have to come back the next day and look again. The next day, Kafka and the little girl went back to the park. They searched for hours, but they still couldn't find the doll. Kafka was about to give up when he had an idea. He told the little girl that he was going to write her a letter from the doll. He said that the doll was on a trip and that she would write to the little girl about her adventures. Kafka wrote the letter and gave it to the little girl. She was so happy to have a letter from her doll that she forgot all about being sad. The next day, Kafka wrote another letter from the doll. And the day after that, he wrote another. And so on. Kafka wrote letters from the doll for weeks. He told the little girl about all the amazing things that the doll was seeing and doing. He told her about the places she was visiting, the people she was meeting, and the things she was learning. The little girl loved the letters from the doll. They made her feel like she was right there with the doll, experiencing all the adventures. One day, Kafka wrote a letter from the doll that said that she was coming home. The little girl was so excited. She couldn't wait to see her doll again. The next day, Kafka and the little girl went to the park. The little girl was sitting on the bench, waiting for the doll to arrive. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure in the distance. It was her doll. The little girl ran to the doll and hugged her tightly. She was so happy to have her back. Kafka smiled. He was glad that he could help the little girl find her doll. He was also glad that he could make her happy. Kafka and the little girl continued to be friends for many years. They would often meet in the park and talk about the doll's adventures. One day, Kafka died. The little girl was very sad. She missed her friend very much. But then she remembered the letters from the doll. She opened the doll and found a small letter inside. It was from Kafka. The letter said, "Dear little girl, I know that I am gone, but I want you to know that I will always be with you. I will always be in your heart. I am so glad that I could help you find your doll. I know how much you loved her. I hope that you will always remember the adventures that the doll had. I hope that they will bring you joy. I love you. Franz Kafka." The little girl read the letter and cried. She was sad that Kafka was gone, but she was also happy to have his letter. She knew that she would always cherish it. The little girl grew up and had children of her own. She told them the story of the doll and Franz Kafka. She told them how he had helped her find her doll and how he had made her happy. The little girl's children grew up and had children of their own. They also told the story of the doll and Franz Kafka. And so the story has been passed down through the generations. The story of the doll and Franz Kafka is a story about love, loss, and hope. It is a story that has touched the hearts of people all over the world.